What's up, guys? I'm Jamie Tajera. This is the Nerd Report for November 1st, 2022 for the Ponte Vedra areas. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start off with median sales price. Keep in mind, we've gotten a few requests to do specific areas, but the only way to get it done correctly, like for your specific house, let us know. We can add you to a system that we have that'll update you monthly, and it's by zip code and by neighborhood usually, depending on how many houses you have, etc. But with some of this data, from a median standpoint and from the MLS, you're going to see some pretty violent volatility, if you will, because if there's not a lot of sales, you're affecting a larger percentage of the data, right? So if you only have 10 houses for sale and one of them sells 10% of the homes sold. You see what I'm saying? So I figure that makes sense. But so North Ponte Vedra Beach, you're at 1.5 million median. What I would say to pay attention to on these regional kind of small areas is the overall trend. So you can see that the overall trend for PV Beach on the north side is still going up. And then I would say, all right, let's look at, so here you've got a lot more houses, right? So South PV. So you've got a median of 850, still overall trend going up. And then in Nocatee, you've got 717. So when you see less volatility, it's because you have more homes, right? And we'll get into that right now with the closed sales. Just because when you have more transactions, you get more of a more smooth data. All right, so with closed sales, you can see that, so Ponte Vedra, all right, so North PV Beach, there's only 15 closings, right? So that's why if you get, my example of 10, the closer you get to zero, the more volatile those pricing moves look like, because it affects so much more of that market. So North PV Beach, you had 15 closings. From 2017, it doesn't look like it varies that much. Like you're, up or down. Like maybe if you went down to one or two, maybe I'd have some sort of concern. But you had 9 in, October 2019. I don't think your market's crashing. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was talking about market crashing back then. And then let's go to Nocatee. You had 52 closed sales, and then South PV Beach, 56. So these two are more in line. However, pretty sure Nocatee has more homes overall. So this trend looks pretty balanced, but it does kind of look like it trended up and then now it's trending down a little bit. I wouldn't be too concerned. Not yet. I mean, we know home prices are going to come down. If you watch our general video for the market overall, St. John's, Clay, and Duval County, we were down last month 5%, and then from highs, right? From June, July highs, and 5% on what was the median? 300, right? That's about 60 grand, right? So if you're checking your home value every month, it can seem alarming, but nobody should be doing that. That's kind of strange behavior. But yeah, so you've got 144 in Nocatee, basically at this height, and now you're at 52. But overall, year over year, your pricing's still pretty stable there. Percentage of list price received. So this is pretty in line with what we're seeing for Northeast Florida in general. Nocatee, 99.3%. South PV Beach, Villano, 97.2%. And then PV North, you're at 95%. So this is something we actually saw at the beaches, getting closer to that 95% number. I've been in this since 2008, 2009. So 95% for me is normal. This is, this peak up here at 103 is crazy, but Northeast Florida in general saw those types of numbers. Let's look at your days on market. So Nocatee's at 55. That's actually pretty significant. I would say, your median price was like 717, even call that 600. The interest rates are definitely hitting Nocatee. I would say the majority of the people that buy in Nocatee are buying with a loan. Maybe that's not the same math for, North PV. But just keep that in mind when you're affected by that. That's going to hit you. You got South PV Beach, 36 days. That's actually really low. That's lower than the general Northeast Florida market. And the 26th for North PV is also much lower than, Northeast Florida, the region. Because Northeast Florida, the region, I think we were at 51 days. But again, let's look at this. 146 in 2019. It depends on how many houses are out there and how many are available. So pending sales, let's see if you guys are going up or down. So Nocatee, you're at 48. Overall, looks pretty balanced. It is low. It is at the bottom end of what it looks like, you're normally at. You've got 96. Your average is probably somewhere in the 70s, right? And right now you're at 48. We are approaching the end of the year, so I'm, if you do watch our other videos, I was targeting kind of a 10% drop for Jacksonville, for Northeast Florida overall. So that's Clay, Duval, St. Johns County. We basically hit a little bit more than 5%, and now we're below 5%. Prices actually went up. So I think at this point we're kind of in if you've been following like the stock market at all, other than earnings and stuff like that, it's been kind of up and down, up and down. People are talking about don't hold anything overnight. If you're day trading or anything like that, because the swings are so up and down. And I think you're kind of seeing that with real estate right now, because the opportunity to take on assets right now while you have more options is great, under the gamble that the rates are going to drop if we see a recession, right? Or if the Fed, gets, I don't know, they realize they pushed the lever too far, which is usually what happens. And then I think today you already had, I think it was earlier today at like 12, Biden saying he's endorsing lower, stop raising the rates so much, right? More dovish behavior. So, which I agree with, because the whole point of, this inflation attack, right, with raising interest rates is to help, basically help the entry level home buyer, right, and that income level be able to get into homes, overall have everyday things not be so expensive. But right now what it's doing, it's actually hurting. So let's go into the next one. Let's see your new listings. So new listings overall, you're still pretty balanced there. You can see you have some valleys. What is that? December. Yep, December. And then here, we're not quite at a valley yet. You had a valley over here last month, but we'll see where this goes. I would say wait till next month to really think if your inventory is going up. PV, again, you look like you're cyclical and you're sticking on trend. Yes, it's a little bit higher than I would say the past few years in November, but the thing is that it's pretty much the same right here. Come on, blue line. Let's see if, yeah. So this is what, November 2018, pretty similar numbers. So you guys are staying pretty consistent year over year. And then down here with PV North, you have 20, again, low numbers. It's gonna offshoot these. Let's go to distressed listings. Yep, 0. Northeast Florida as a whole, the distress level is less than 0.03%. So it's negligible. And how many houses were we looking at? 60. So one of them comes up on short sale or foreclosure, right? And it shoots off your whole month. It's not even worth it. PV North, you guys had, here's the thing, you guys had what, 12 listings at that one point, somewhere around here in 18? So you had one foreclosure. That's the thing with looking at some of these numbers, and you kind of just have to aggregate it. We can check out your unsold listings just for the general area. So you can definitely see it's climbing. I would say, some of the stuff you've seen in the news has, and I'll break it up, has definitely said, sharpest decline in home prices we've seen since the Great Depression. That's not untrue. The problem is that it's kind of like, if you're familiar with stock charts, it's kind of like looking at the 1 minute chart versus the daily chart, right? They look very different based on like what the window and what you're looking at in that moment is. So yeah, this is a pretty steep increase, right, for South PV, for all of them, really. You can see that they're all, except for North, because there's just not that many houses, North PV. And honestly, they're not very affected by fluctuations of the economy. Here getting up to 25, you're worried about recession, but nobody was talking about a housing crash, right? When we were over here at 28, right, for unsold listings. So just keep that in mind. I know that these numbers I'm showing you, they look super volatile, like they go up and down. So we like to kind of aggregate them, but looking at the Northeast Florida market in general, I still felt good about everything hitting that 10% number, and we've been underwriting based on those numbers. But keep in mind that everybody else in the business, in the investment business, is looking at that number too. So these hedge funds and these institutions and people that are buying houses, the reason everybody hit pause is because everybody wants to try to time the bottom, which is fine. But when you're paying cash to buy these, you're trying to get better yields from a rental standpoint, right? If you're an institution. So basically, if they can time that 10% bottom, which they're thinking based on the conversations we're having, it's going to be around January, right? If you jump in at the same time they do, they've just got, you're looking for 1, they're looking for 50, right? So your 1 is kind of inconsequential to what their game is. So just keep that in mind when it comes to options. If you do think a recession's coming, or you think the Fed's going to ease up, we're going to know tomorrow, because the FOMC meeting is tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. Everyone's expecting 75 points. If they come in at 50, the stock market's going to rally, and people are going to, the stock market's move way faster than real estate, but I would say if they go 50, right, or if they indicate they're going to go 50 in December instead of 75, the heads are going to start turning towards real estate again. And the number one problem that we have in Northeast Florida, no matter where you are, is inventory. It doesn't matter that, home prices, like, yes, did we just cut out 50% of the entry-level buyers? Yes, absolutely. But so did everybody else in every other market, and especially in markets that have state taxes and all this other pressure going on at the same time. Jacksonville still looks super appealing. We still don't have enough houses. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying, I don't want to sound like every other realtor out there saying it's a great time to buy because I need to pay my bills. We're in a little bit of a different type of business based on how we do it. We're underwriting to try to find the right opportunities that can be refinanced in later. And we know some people bought some stuff, whether it's multifamily, big single family, whatever, and they're holding bags right now and they can't refinance out. So we're waiting for those opportunities to kind of come through off market. And that's what our target is. So if you found this helpful, please like the video, get it in front of more people that may be interested in this. And we'll see you next Monday. We do this, we'll do the area ones like this once a month, but we'll do the general region every Monday. So thanks for checking us out.